and welcome to Walker Tea Review, where it is always your turn to clean out the teapot. But until we get to that point, it is my time to introduce a tea to you. This tea is an oolong tea, and it's from Adagio, so we're going to go ahead and get this one started up. You're thinking to yourself, how can I know in advance what teas are going to be tasted so that I can order those and have my setup ready to go so that I can taste as you taste? Well, right up above there's a green button that says join a tea tasting, where you can do just that. You'll find information on equipment like gaiwans, and information on things like tea kettles, so that you can get those. You can follow along to the future episodes page where you can see the teas that we're going to be tasting next. If you've missed a tea tasting, you can always go to the scoreboard or the score sheet, where you'll find information on teas that we have previously tasted. Okay, now I have this oolong tea. As you can probably see already, this is a lighter green, so it's more of a more lightly oxidized tea. And we're going to flatten that out. If you flatten that out, that would be covering the whole teaspoon there. So we're going to dump that in. Now, I don't like the way this looks. Actually, there seems to be a lot of flakes in that scoop. But when I look here in my sample size from Adagio, most of this is not flakes, smaller pieces. So I do feel that it's fair to add just a wee bit more in there. So having done that, let's go ahead and add our water here. Now I'm going to use the base that comes with a gaiwan, just like so. I'm going to add my water. This water's been brought to, close to a boil, and it's probably cooled for probably about 30-45 seconds here, as it just set beside us as we talked. Now that should be enough. That gives us just about enough to kind of cover the rim of the lid. Set that out of the way. Slide this over ever so carefully, so we can talk a little bit about this dry leaf here. As we said, this is from Adagio. This is their HuangJinBolero. It's from Anxi Province in Anxi County in Fujian Province. Sample size like this is available for $3. Now, there's a Huangjin Gui, which the description doesn't fully say, but my indication is that this is going to be similar to what is called a Huangjin Gui, which is also from that same similar area. Now, I'm looking over here at my gaiwan, because the heat from that steam has risen up and has expanded and pushed water out to the rim of my gaiwan. So I don't want that rim to heat up too much, so that when I touch it, it's not scalding my fingers. So I'm going to lift up that lid just a second, put it back down, and that water was able to travel back down into below the lid. Now, going back to our dry leaf, we're going through a tea tasting, and we look at the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. Let's get a good whiff of that again. Variety of aromas coming off of there. First and third whiff that I got there, I did get some kind of floral notes, and it was a tinge of kind of magnolia type sweetness to it. And the second one, I got a kind of a buttery type of how should I say, it's like a movie theater artificial butter flavor. It's got that kind of salty, buttery, and that was just a whiff of that, okay. But so this one does have kind of warm notes. It's got a kind of a, how should I say, a creamy type of smell to it, like almost as if like a buttercream type of smell. Not so sweet though. This one's a little bit more vegetal on that aspect. And this one does have a bit of a like a sweet root element to it as well. It's got like a how should I say? Not carrot. That would be a little too over to one side. It would be a mischaracterization there. If you've ever gotten a what's my word here? Wild carrot is what it's sometimes called. The Queen Anne's lace. If you pull that up, I was told as a kid that was the Indians, Native American wild carrot that was eaten. The Queen Anne's lace, the root of the Queen Anne's lace, and there's a bit of that kind of rooty sweetness in here as well. Okay, so looking at this dry leaf, you know, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt and add a few more of the more solid leaves, but even still, as I look at this dry leaf, you're getting lots of flakes, pieces, incomplete leaves. Yet on the other hand, you are getting some pieces, portions of leaves that have been wrapped and crinkled up. Then you do get the occasional, looks like single leaf that has been crumpled, crinkled up. Not quite tightly compressed into like a paper wad type, but on the way towards that in its crinkled and wrinkledness. Colors are a pale olive drab to a bit of a grayish green as well, and then you also get over towards the yellow green, which is kind of like a pear type of color. So variety of colors, not always some good, like that richer, I should rather, bluer green, gray green, lighter on the others, and just not as much a solid full-size leaf as I was hoping for. But let's go ahead and give it a shot. Let's see how it affects our actual liquor and the rest of our tasting process. So we're going to get out our wine glass, and so that we can kind of look at the tea together as we pour. We can smell it as we stick our nose into the glass. Get our gaiwan over here. Now, water has stayed below the rim of the lid, stayed inside here. I'm going to tilt this, angle this lid so that the top higher portion is over here, kind of nearly hanging over the rim of the gaiwan. Index finger and thumb on the rims here. I'm sorry, middle finger rather. Index finger is actually on top of the lid to hold it in place. Now I'm going to hold that very firmly, and I'm going to pour just like so. That's pouring a little bit slower because, one, you've got some leaves that have expanded in leaf portions, as we noted as well, that have probably collected and slowed down the flow as well. But we're going to get those last few drops shaking in here. There we are. There we go. And we can start looking at this wet leaf a little bit. Get this tea towel out of the way. It's always handy to have that to pick up any little drips that may accidentally come about. Now let's go talk about wet leaf. I was surprised this first sniff because I'm getting some kind of roasted notes that carry a bit of a almost like a caramel type note. And I find them more associated with like a tiaguanin that has gone through a stronger roasting process. You know, I do find some of the HuangJinBoleros and some other more lightly oxidized oolongs to have more of a lima bean type of smell that comes off of the wet leaf. This one's got more of a toasted element coming off of it. So first thing, another little thing that says this one's a little different from others. Okay, pulling out what we've got here, I happen to notice a little stem here with no leaves attached to it. Portion of a leaf. It looks pretty ragged there. I've actually dropped that one. Put that in there. What else do we have? Portions of leaves. Looks like I may be able to pull out, nope, portion there, or most of a leaf kind of gotten chewed up along the edges there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We got a little bit of a tip here. What used to be two leaves in a bud. That's the only way I can describe it, because you have the very bottom portion of a leaf that's still attached to the stem or the tip. About a third to a quarter of a leaf still attached to the tip, and what the faint evidence of a bud that was attached here to the tip. Not a lot, not much there. Let me just kind of give this a fair shake. There's another most of a leaf, I should say, and yeah, that's it. Rest of it looks about like that. Okay. Wow, just not much to really show for this. Not really much to show for the wet leaf. Okay. Smells were not what we had always seen. Shape of leaves, not really a dazzling picture there either. But again, for most people, the liquor is the part that really decides for them. So let's go ahead and look at this. This is a nice, deep, a yellowish brown honey color. I have seen lighter. I'll go ahead and say that now. It's got a bit of that kind of movie theater buttery type smell coming off of the nose of this. Movie theater type buttery note to it. Nice, with that buttery type, there is often the aftertaste. There's a bit of sweetness on the tip. It feels a bit of saltiness. So that's here. It's saltiness and then fading in aftertaste to sweetness. Astringency higher, a little bit higher than others. The body, it does have with that buttery type note. It does have a sense of creaminess, a bit of a buttery thickness to it. Astringency. So the body resembles more of some of a little bit of a thicker, more heavy, more deeply roasted, more heavily oxidized oolong. Okay, not the characteristic thinner, more floral, lighter HuangJinBolero. So when I look at this tea as a whole, I got the clue. I took a guess that this had a HuangJinBolero type of origin, but and when you took the dry leaf, that kind of gave it that clue. But then you got over into the wet leaf, which had some of those aromas of a more like a milk scented oolong, or yeah, I guess I've had some anshi types that did have a bit of a buttery note to them. This one tended to carry, and then over to the the liquor, I should say. This one carried more of a little bit of a Tiaguanin type of heaviness, thickness to it. A bit of that almost that buttery type aspect of the, almost what I've detected in some, how should I say, some of the mediocre quality milk oolongs. Okay. So when you look at this tea as a whole, it gave us kind of a confused package. Was it a lightly oxidized? Was it a milk oolong? Was it more like a Tiaguanin type of, with a little bit more roasted element to it? Don't know. Really can't slot this fully into one drawer. So because of that, it could reach a lot more people, but then it could also potentially disappoint the expectations of a lot of people who are looking for it to be one way or the other. So I would give this tea, you know, an 85. It's got some redeeming qualities. It needs a clearer identity, I would say, so that it would bring all of that right package of what it is together, so that we would all know it, understand it, and be able to appreciate it better. So, again, good price, sample size for $3. Again, this was Adagio's HuangJinBolero, and we tasted it here together at Walker 2 Review.